That's the problem with Trump people. He said, bro, I love it, but your analysis of Trump is always off. You need to check his record when he was president. He got the Abrahamic Accords done, Middle East between the Muslims and Jews. That's absolutely true. And I saw it firsthand. I was in Abu Dhabi, actually Dubai, excuse me, and I saw Sheikh Mohammed, the king, walk by an Israeli flag in Dubai. 10 years ago, he couldn't even travel there. Now they're working together. So absolutely, there were great wins. And I'd argue the discussions with North Korea were productive. I'd argue the discussions with Russia were quite productive. And he exposed a lot of inconvenient truths as well, like the U.S.-Chinese relationship and how it needed to be rebuilt and reset, and also the inconvenient truth of the current immigration policy in the United States. Every president, even Biden, there's some good there. And it's not about saying Trump did something good. In fact, there was a lot of stuff to like when you actually peel back the layers, including the Trump tax cut, which brought trillions of dollars of overseas money back into the United States. Did you guys know that before the Trump tax cut existed, how corporations hide money is that they had these offshore subsidiaries in Hong Kong and Seychelles and other places, and they never had any legal requirement to bring that money back home. And they didn't pay any taxes on that. And they created this new structure where you had to pay a minimum 12%, regardless if you brought it home or not, creating incentives for people to repatriate capital. Trillions of dollars of capital end up getting repatriated. Lo and behold, the people who fought the Trump administration on that were big companies, Jeff Bezos and Amazon and Microsoft and these things, because they didn't want to pay. The problem is that not everybody's an island in the big ticket items of bringing people together, unifying the United States, getting people to work together, inspiring people. He failed miserably in that. Everything was a game of us versus them. We win, you lose. We burn you down, and then we will stand over your ashes. And it became a game, almost like a reality television show. It became like a football game. The Denver Broncos versus Kansas City or something like that. They're evil, we're virtuous. Every single political event started being viewed through this lens. Now, he didn't create this system by any means. We had been moving in this direction for a very long time. What he did is he refined it and purified it to a form that we'd never seen before in American discourse. And that is now the new standard. It's easy for me, even though I'm conservative and libertarian in nature, to go and sit down with a person who has radically different political views with me. For example, I had dinner a few years back with Senator Wyden, and he's a very nice guy. We are radically different in terms of some of our political views, but we are able to have a conversation and say, okay, well, where can we find points of interest where we can connect together? The same with Senator Lummis or other people. There's areas I agree, there's areas I disagree. Why? Because at the end of the day, I don't believe that your politics define you. Those are just some beliefs that you have. You have other beliefs. That's okay. We can find bridges. We can find ways to communicate with each other and work together. We've gotten to a point where people become their politics and they're either with us or against us. If they're against us, they're evil people who should be destroyed in any way possible. And now I guess they get locked up. And true to form, the other side has now responded by literally just doing that. It used to be the chant, lock them up, but they didn't actually do it. They weren't crazy enough. Now they're doing it. And there seems to be glaring double standards in this whole thing. Because here's the inconvenient truth that Team Blue can't admit, but they know it deep down inside, and Team Red knows too. If you're the president of the United States, if you were held to the same judicial standards as a normal person, you should be in prison. You lie, you bribe countries, you kill people on a daily basis. If you don't believe me, Anwar al-Awlaki, the drone strike, is the president allowed to murder an American citizen without due process? Most Americans would say no. Let's remove the absolute immunity from the presidency. I guarantee you, an activist prosecutor could go after Obama for Anwar al-Awlaki. That's just the nature of the role. They get into a position where they're no longer a person, they're a state. And states behave in different ways than people behave. They have a monopoly on violence. They can arrest you. They can imprison you. They torture people. Even the United States tortures people. Enhanced interrogation is not torture. Yeah, well, we changed the words a little bit, but let's be very clear about this. It's not something any normal human being would enjoy going through. We torture our own soldiers, called SEER training. We do it in defensive ways, but states can do that. If you grabbed a normal person off the street and said, I'm going to toughen you up, and you put them through CRC, you'd be in jail. State can do that. And the representatives and agents of the state are allowed to do that. So when you're the president, you're the face of the state. You're the actor of the state. You cannot have a situation where people are now held to these bizarre standards and they fight each other. And now we arrest each other. And unfortunately, those floodgates are open. And for better or worse, there's something about Trump's nature which is so utterly offensive to the left that it's impossible for them to acknowledge anything good about him. And then, of course, because of that, it creates such anger on the right that they start applying those very same principles to Joe Biden and to Hillary Clinton and to other people. Now, where does this leave us? It leaves us in a situation where we can't work together. It leaves us in a situation where we can't talk to each other. We can't negotiate. We can't collaboratively construct things. And winning is not about effective governance. You notice that nobody voting for Biden right now or Trump is sitting down and honestly saying there's some big project or end goal that we seek. Like we're building a pyramid. In 5 years, we got to get that thing done. Or we're going to the moon and we got to get there before the end of the decade. Or we're going to cure cancer and we have to do this within 10. And this is the best person to achieve that goal. And here's why they're doing it. No, it's I have to vote for this guy because the other guy is so evil and so destructive that I have to keep that person out of power. Yes, but the person you're putting into power, do you agree with all the things I don't care. The other person is just so evil and so destructive and so horrible that I have to keep them out of power. That is the problem. That's where we're at. And what that tells you is that the system cannot heal. It cannot converge to an effective state. It is a failed government. The only way you can get rid of a failed government is to replace it. The only mechanism short of war we have to replace the government is a constitutional convention. And that's the only thing I care about these days. I don't particularly care about Trump versus Biden. It'd be nice to have Trump in versus Biden because Biden put people into power who have declared war on my industry. By no means is Trump going to be an ally to the industry, but at least it's going to be better than what we have right now. So that's why you'll see Ryan Selkis and other people going, well, I guess I have to support Trump because they're a single issue voter. And currently the Biden administration is completely devoted to the complete destruction of our industry. And they've been pursuing it. So you got to be team red on that one. But does that mean I agree with all the other stuff? No. In fact, I would like to have discourse where we have debates and we talk to each other. If Lex Friedman can sit down and talk to everybody, why can't we? Why is it when Tucker Carlson goes and interviews Putin, we have the propaganda state come and say he's a useful idiot and this is the worst possible thing and how dare you engage? Isn't it valuable to society to see the boogeyman who's leading the conflict? If anything, just so you can understand where they're coming from and how they act and where they're at. If anything, just you read all the propaganda and they say Putin has cancer and his mental condition is all fucked up and terrible and he's so unhealthy he can't even walk. And he's got Parkinson's and his hands are shaking and all these things. And you see these things come out every day. Spent 2 hours talking to Tucker Carlson. Seemed pretty cogent to me. So isn't that valuable, at least from that perspective, to assess the mental health of the leader and where he's at? But no, we can't even engage with people. We can't even talk to people. We can't even connect to people. We can't even understand other people's opinions. It's us versus them. And so we need to rewrite the rules because this current system is built in a very divisive adversarial way. We need ballot access. We need to actually have third parties be able to win in the United States. We need to change the way the president is elected. Instead of having two big political parties go at it, what they need to do is have each state elect a delegate and say that once you're elected from a state, you only have federal financing of elections, and you run all the states against each other through a playoff style system. If it works in football, I guarantee it's going to work in American politics. It'll work very well. And also it guarantees every state has representation, because every state, no matter how big or small, has a delegate on equal standing with the largest of the states in terms of these brackets, and if the states are following a diverse ballot set, many of those delegates will be from other parties than just Democrats and Republicans. And it creates a lot of political diversity. Have the runner-up be the vice president. It was a good idea in the writing of the Constitution. It's a good idea now. Term limits for Congress and Senate. Balanced budget amendment. Government can't spend more than it takes in. Basic things. And then also a whole bunch of constitutional language to deal with the fourth branch of government, the bureaucracy, which is obviously what is killing America. And frankly, that's where we all have the problems. We don't have problems with Republicans and Democrats. They're enablers of the real problem, which is the bureaucratic arm, the United States government. Those are the ones killing us every single day and creating problems. Those are the ones fighting the wars. Those are the ones running the FBI. Those are the ones running the CIA. Those are the ones running the border. Those are the ones running our healthcare system, our education system, all these things. It's not the elected official. They just sign the check, and the names change, but the regime doesn't actually. The deep state is there, employs more than 10% of the entire American population. And not once does it contract. All you got to do to balance the American budget, just cut it 5% per year. Should that not be so hard? It's impossible to cut the budget, because that's what the deep state is. The only way to change it is change the Constitution. So you have to think beyond Trump. And we have to get out of this victim mindset, and we have to get out of this adversarial mindset. The people we disagree with are not evil. The people that believe things that we don't like are not evil, and they're not out to destroy our lives. They're human beings just like you and me, and we used to look at them that way when I was growing up.